Hi everyone. Welcome to Academasia. Academasia is a Singapore-based impact-driven edtech. Hi everyone. Welcome to Academasia. Academasia is a Singapore-based impact-driven edtech startup that empowers the largest online community of education institutions and educators in Asia to upskill and reskill themselves to improve the learning outcomes for their 21st century learners. On acadasia.com, educators can access 4 specific services. First, Collab Ed, a social networking service that empowers education institutions to build their international network from all over Asia, and where individual educators can join a wide range of communities of teaching ad learning practice and engage in peer-to-peer learning. Second, Skill Ed, a professional development service that empowers educators to upskill and reskill themselves by accessing more than 1,000 hours of professional development content, all with formal CPD accreditations. In addition to this, academic managers from education institutions can track, measure, and improve the efficacy of all professional development that their faculty access on the platform, thus leading to better learning outcomes for their students. Third, Design Ed, the easiest course builder on the planet. In 5 simple steps, this service empowers educators to build fun, engaging, and quality content for their learners. Furthermore, third-party tools like Canva, Google, etc. are fully integrated right into Design Ed. Fourth, Certify Ed, a digital credentialing service that empowers education institutions to design, award, and track fully verifiable and tamper-proof digital micro-credentials and certificates on the blockchain. Join the largest community of educators in Asia who are already using the platform and sign up for your free lifetime membership at www.acadasia.com today.
Okay, welcome once again to all our friends, fellow educators, administrators, school leaders, and owners. Welcome once more to Academasia Technology Tuesdays. Okay, so every week of the month, I know it's a bit of a busy month now. It's December. I hope all of you are having a fun time preparing, and I'm sure excited to see all your friends and family and colleagues at the year-end parties that will be happening. December is really a busy month, but we still appreciate that you guys are all joining us from here for our session this week. I just want to do a couple of shout outs to our friends in the chat. I think I see our friends, of course, from Philippines, from Mindanao. I also see one of our friends from longtime friend of Acadasia and user since version 1. Okay, Mr. Severino Oisayan, I hope we can talk again soon. Thank you from SDOQC Philippines. Thank you for your continued support all these years. From Ifugao, from CEU Manila, Cagayan de Oro. We have friends from Singapore and India. Hello and good day to all of you, the different time zones. And I hope all of you are relaxing a little bit and you can join us for our informal fireside chat today at Acadasia Technology Tuesdays. Very interestingly, for this month, we'll be talking about a very interesting topic, which is online assessments. If you did not catch Webinar Wednesday last week, we were talking about academic honesty or, is cheating online really a myth or a reality? So that's a great stream. We still have that up on our courses in Acadasia. Please catch that if you want to rewatch it. Please go ahead. But for the rest of the month, we'll be continuing on the topic on online assessments. And today we have an interesting, demo and presentation to make for all of you for Technology Tuesdays. Usually at this time, we want to showcase new technologies and new techniques on how to improve our education practice and so that our community can become better at using all these amazing online tools for our own teaching and our own pedagogy. All right, so this week we'll have a special guest, a couple of guests. But before that, I introduce our new technology for this week. I just want to invite again my colleague from Acadasia to kind of give us a brief summary about this online assessments and academic honesty, right? So I want to call in a good friend, Jake Aragon, 20 years experience in Philippine education. Welcome, Jake. Nice to see you again.
Hi, Roy. Good evening. And welcome to all the educators who are here joining us tonight.
Yeah, so Jake, maybe we can give a quick refresher. I know I mentioned people can rewatch the stream from last week, but what did we learn from last week regarding online assessments and the situation, let's say, with the students and how they're coping with online exams? What is our key takeaways from those sessions?
Yeah, from last week's discussion, Roy, we were able to establish the fact that over the last couple of years, as teachers transition to online modes of teaching and learning, um, there has been a lot of struggle when it came to student engagement. But we also
Mm,
discovered that teachers also encountered a lot of challenges when it came to promoting academic honesty in schools,
mm.
right? So Tess Ladrido, the principal of Xavier School from Manila, Philippines, and of course Neil, our CEO from Academasia, gave very insightful tips, right? And pieces of advice to teachers on how academic honesty can be promoted in educational institutions.
Yeah, and especially in online, Jake, and as we know, as education practitioners, we're all coming back to face. We're coming back to the school systems and seeing our classmates and colleagues on campus, right? But at some point in time, we can't tell, or hopefully we'll be
Right.
better prepared if we need to do online assessments, if we need to kind of, or maybe if we apply, let's say, one of our topics for flipped classroom, if we want to
Yes.
get the students more engaged on online methodology. Is that still an option for our schools to kind of try more online tools, even though we're coming back face to face?
Yeah, absolutely, Roy. I think over the last couple of years, our teachers have learned how to use different strategies and techniques, tools, and apps, and different video conferencing platforms to interact and engage with students. In addition, teachers have also been very creative in using these tools to conduct engaging student experiences and even administer assessments. But the question remains, how sure are we that our strategies in giving online quizzes, tasks, or assignments are foolproof or secure? So tonight, Roy and dear friends in education, we have that opportunity to learn about how we can use Zoom, one of the most popular video conferencing platforms in the world, for secure and foolproof administration of exams. So we're very fortunate because we'll be joined by experts who will guide us through this groundbreaking system called Exams for Zoom, right? So educators from all over the world, welcome to this learning session. Let's all learn together.
Fantastic. I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much, Jake, for your opening remarks. I'll call you back later again for the question
Sure.
and answer portion. Okay,
See
thank
you
you,
later,
Jake.
Roy. Okay.
See you later. Yeah, so as Jake mentioned, we have two guests from Exams for Zoom, and they will share with us, the Academia community, their tool and how they actually do online assessments much better in a synchronous video environment. And I'm very proud to have, of course, our first speaker, first panelist to join us today. He is actually a marine engineer with an MBA from Hult International Business School. He's worked in the education and higher ed sector for more than 7 years, developed recruitment activities, and managing a Spanish language school of more than 5,000 students a year. He's very passionate about technology, very interested in engaging with students, and he is now in charge for growth for Exams for Zoom, which brings together the best features of an online proctoring tool in a video conferencing environment. So I'm proud to introduce Head of Growth at Exams for Zoom, Mr. Juan Manuel Piedra. Juan, I think it's a holiday there in Spain. Are you calling us from Madrid or Barcelona? Where are you at now?
Yeah, thank you, Roy, for hosting us. Today is a Constitution Day. We are celebrating. Don't ask me when it happened. I believe it was in 1978, right?
Hmm.
I was only 1 year old, right? So yeah, it's a bank holiday here, but I'm happy to be here with you and with all the teachers that they are in the following us through social media. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Juan, for joining us. Then I'll also introduce your colleague who's also joining us on the session today. She has a bachelor's degree in cognitive sciences from the Universidad Autónoma de Mexico and a diploma in digital transformation from ITAM. She has developed her early professional career as a consultant and public speaker on topics related to leadership, communication skills, and also in the marketing arena. She has managed a chain of about 20 plus sports centers. Very interesting. And most recently, she helped launch exams for Zoom by designing the product strategy over the last 2 years. So I'm very happy to invite her passion for human interaction and design and behavioral economics, researcher and community builder, the product manager of Exams for Zoom, Daniela Duran. Danny, hola from Mexico. Are you joining us from Mexico City?
Nearby Mexico City, like 4 hours away. But yeah, I'm really happy to be here.
Thanks so much, Daniela, for joining us, Danny. Okay, really cool. So today you'll be sharing with the Academasia community this wonderful tool that you have, Exams for Zoom. And I'm sure for Technology Tuesdays, they'd be very excited to learn what Exams for Zoom can do. So I'll give you the floor and please take it away. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let me begin by sharing my screen with you. Okay.
And while Danny is setting up the screen, don't forget, if you have any questions for our panelists, we'll be posting our Mentimeter link. So we have that in the chat, and we're also displaying it on the screen. If you have any questions for our panelists today, please type in your questions, and we'll be sure to ask them towards the end during our question and answer. Okay, I think we can share the screen now.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So as you can see, our name is Exams for Zoom, and this means that we developed the friendliest way of delivering assessments. Most of you, I can imagine, have at some point used Zoom to give online classes or maybe for assessments. So we wanted to put that experience, which is very friendly and familiar to all of us, but with a plus, which is everything that we developed surrounding it. It is important to say that we've been covered by years of research. Pablo Langa, which is our founder, he's been more than a decade researching and testing new ways of developing an assessment tool that will be more in line with the future of assessment. We wanted to make a nice merge between video conferences, every kind of video conference that you could have, especially Zoom, and online proctoring. So you have like the familiar side of the video conference, but at the same time, you have everything that you need to make a trusted, safe environment for your assessments. And this is nice because it has given us a very nice and very innovative way of having new methodologies of assessing people. We're very proud to say that earlier this year, we were awarded with the Cool Tool for online education, and specifically in the assessment space, by the EdTech Awards. And we're very proud of that. We've put a lot of work, and this is a really nice recognition. We're also part of the EdSafe AI Alliance. So what do we mean when we say future of assessment? What we mean is that you are able to have multiple assessment types. The flexibility that you have is granular. You can choose to create different assessment experience. You have a space that is safe for your students or your learners, and they can just focus on what they need to focus, which is succeeding and learning. We were very careful in allowing that the video, the audio, and the chat were the best way and option for they to be assessed and for they to learn within an examination. And the research and everything that we've had goes back to testing the solution with more than 22,000 participants. So one of the good things that we want to start when we talk about Exams for Zoom is being very clear about what we are and what we're not. We're not just an anti-cheating tool. There are a lot of anti-cheating tools out there. What we wanted to do is building on trust and adding value to the sector. One of the most easiest ways to use a proctoring solution is to not having to download anything. So you don't need to download any kind of software. It's just web-based and it's ready when you're ready, and you don't have to make any specific technical deployments on your computer. You just go to a Chrome web page and then you can start working on it. We don't block anything. This is another differential. What we do is that we record and we provide exam data and metadata, so you can have an experience where the learner will just do what it will do. You can be able to see what that learner is doing. But we based on some of the privacy and regulations that have been developing in the last couple of years, we just don't block participants, because for us it didn't buy in the trust and the value that we wanted to give. And we're not complex. You will see as we progress on this demo and demonstration and presentation that we're just as simple as a video conference. Sometimes we even use it to chat among each other. And we're not just a Zoom plugin. We're a standalone platform which is based on the experience of Zoom. This is nice because you don't need to have a Zoom account. Your students don't need to have a Zoom account. It's really easy to just jump into the test or examination. But we do have a partnership with Zoom, and that's why our experience is so alike to what they have. The way that we are trying to lead this category is to be simple, to keep things simple, to keep things familiar, so you can be flexible. You can integrate yourself with your learning tools, which can be an LMS, which can be a working space, whatever you need or wherever you want to centralize your assessment. And all you need is a link. The other thing is that you have different views, so you can be on top of what's happening on the experience with your learners. You can see the participant view, which is like you only see my face or the webcam of the student or the learner. You can whether go to the exam view and just see the screen, what they're working on, or you can see, as you can see in this slide, you can have the webcam view plus what they're working on in their desktop. You can zoom in if you see something that you think is a red flag, or maybe your learner needs some help. You can just zoom in by double clicking on that specific participant, and then you will be able to see and zoom in what's happening. What does that learner needs? The learner can also raise their hand, and they can let you know if there's anything that they need in real time. The other thing is that you can customize the amount of learners that you will have per view. You can go, here we have 6, but you can go up to 9, you can reduce to 4. And at the same time, which is one of the things that we're very proud of, is that we have real-time events and alerts that will notify the learner if they are doing something that they're not supposed to do, that is interfering with the honor code or the academic integrity that has been preset for them. So you don't have to go one by one, letting them know that they're doing something that they shouldn't be doing. They will have a Chrome browser notification that will tell them like, hey, you're not on screen. Hey, you just open a new tab and this is not allowed. That this is going to be flagged. So they can just try to have a more secure, trusted experience. And by doing so, we also held them accountable, and we try to change behavior to minimize the cheating temptation. The other thing that we do have is that as a host, as an invigilator, as a teacher, you can interact with them in the way that you choose. You can choose to see the full grid, you can choose to zoom in one of them, and at the same time, you have full control of the room. and you can help your students or your learners to have the best experience when they're having an assessment. The other thing is, after you're done with the session and you want to review the recording of what happened in the exam session or in the assessment, you will have per participant 2 feeds of video. You will be able to see the screen, what they were working on, and you will be able to see their webcam. And we will let you know in the timeline of the exam where is the minute and second that you should try to click on to see what happened. So you can deliberate if maybe it was something that actually means red card and you're out of the game, or maybe it just means that it was something that the learner had as an issue and they couldn't cope with within the moment, and it is a false positive, I'm sorry. So in this review, you will have a dedicated view with special points and where to go and what to watch. We have different types of trust components. You can have an ID validation that works for more than 200 countries. And you can have whether your passport, your driver's license, this is more for higher education, or your national ID. This works for being able to validate if the person that is entering to that exam room is actually who they say they are. You can make sure that that person is a real human being, that there is no 2 people in the same webcam. You can also detect if the person is looking at the screen or is just going away or looking at somewhere else. So we do not do the 360 verification of the room. What we rather to do is that we make sure that what is happening here, you can see it, and the other thing that we could do is just add it within another device if that's the need for that. We let you know if they are off screen, if they copy and paste, if they open a new tab, if they have an additional audio and video feed, if they stop sharing their screen, or if they stop sharing their audio. If they mute themselves, you can know it. One of the things that we do say is that we are not the decision makers. We are the VAR. And since we're in the World Cup, we are that screen, that monitor that you can see, and you can see what's happening, and then you make that decision. We don't restrict. We provide with information so you can make an informed decision. And one of the things that is really important about us is that since we are vouching for the future of assessment, we want to make assessments practical and continuous. We want to support whatever you're working on and your project for learning and development for your LMS or evaluation tool, plus anything that you want, and you can be as creative as you want for your learners. You don't just have to do a quiz, you don't just have to do regular test. You can ask them to be more creative and maybe work with tools like Canvas, or maybe Python or Photoshop or AutoCAD or Illustrator, or whatever you want. You can just ask them to do it, because our solution is just not restricted to quiz kind of assessments. And all that I've been speaking to you about so far reflects more what will happen on a live, synchronous, small group kind of assessment, but we also work for large scale. In a large scale, what we do is usually unattended, and when we say unattended, it means that you don't have to be in the room hosting your learners, but you can have unlimited students or learners that can take that test in an open schedule, which means that if you have a test that goes for a week and the deadline is that they have to present that test within that week, They can just choose when to do it, what time to do it. They will have a specific time to complete the test. If you say that the test is to be completed in 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, 20 minutes, that will stay the same, but you just give them the flexibility to do it within the time lapse of 2 days, a week, or month, whatever you choose. It's totally flexible. And for the live mode, you can go up to 50 participants per host per session. This is a synchronous mode, which is the one that I've been describing the most. The unattended, the only thing that changes for what I've been speaking to you or sharing with you is that we rely on AI to help students, to just monitor them, to onboard them to the session. And one of the amazing innovative use cases that we've had is our customers and our partners. They have been like, wow, we could use this for certifications. We can also use this for tutoring. So one tutor can have or can host 4 different students, and they don't interrupt themselves, because within the session, the students or the learners, they can't hear each other. They can't interact with each other. The other option is to have group exams presentations or use cases that can be discussed, so you can evaluate how they are working. And instead of having a group of 50 people and then just allowing 5 people to talk about their presentation and having to deal with muting everyone that keeps opening their mic, you just allow small groups to just work as you wish and as you allow them to. Some universities in Spain have been out. This could be really interesting for certificating people in blockchain, Web3, and what they're doing. In Colombia, they were very excited of the flexibility that we have for making AutoCAD experiences without having to download any exam or having to take print screens every time that the student is progressing. And in Mexico, for employability, what one of the main universities has been trying to do is to help students to be better at interviewing, testing the way that they present themselves, how confident they feel, how is their behavior during an interview or process of employability, so they can train them to improve and be better. And we have a flexible deployment. You basically can integrate everything with any LTI kind of integration. You can also upload any kind of file that you want. You can have an access that is passwordless that we will show you after this presentation. And we can also know, this is more for metadata. You can know if your students are stressed, if they are a real human being, if they are happy, sad, neutral, what's happening with them. And from them, you can also improve the way that you test and assess your students. We're fully GDPR compliant. And finally, we have flexible business models, which I'm not going to go a deep dive, but you can pay per exam, you can pay per participant per year, or you can pay as you test. This is coming soon, which means to transfer the cost of the exam to the students. In Mexico, we use it for when a learner or student fail their tests and then they have to go to an extraordinary testing period, then you will usually charge that test to the student. Basically, it's as flexible as you need it and as you could use it for a better business kind of necessity that you have. And so far, we've gained international recognition for big universities as the University of Catalonia for Open Awards, which is one of their dearest clients. We've helped them into making testing more efficiently. They've been using Zoom, so the transition was really smooth. And we won the EdTech Awards that I said at the beginning. And we do believe the future is high flex. I'm sure that most of you are returning to in-presence classes more than online, like you are face to face now, but at some point you might also have to keep some of the online capabilities and tools. So we do believe in this future where you will have to meet in person, but at the same time you will have resources that will go online. And we are completely supportive and we understand that this happens. So we want to push in this kind of future too by helping with blended learning solutions. Our commitment with the future of assessment is to bring new trust instruments, to reduce the carbon footprint, to make hybrid in a large scale, and to gamify sometimes the opportunities, and also that you can feel that is really safe and secure with blockchain grade record. This is all for my part, and I'm gonna transition now to Juanma to take the lead.
Thank you, Danny. For you to understand more about how is everything happening, let me share my screen, okay, so that you can also see how easy it is to create one exam, how easy it is to enter the exam as a host, etc. Okay, so I hope that you can see my screen now. All right, so let's create one exam here. So let's call this, for instance, Academasia demo. Okay, it's gonna be a live session. All right, it will be the start today, like in 1 minute from now. All right, and I go and see with the rest of the features. So what we have differently from other players, right, is that we are very granular. So our flexibility is really huge because you can just enable or disable all the different aspects of an assessment. Okay, as we say here, two exams are not made equal, so we can just go with or without a waiting lunch. In case that you want to record the session, you can do that, right? So uploading files, comments from the audience, disabling the audio for demo purposes, print screen. This is also very important because during the session, students can take print screens for all the different aspects they want to just highlight from the session, right? And allow participants to review their session in case they are needed, right? And as Danny was mentioning, we have this sentiment analysis for the Mexico project that we have dealing with, right? And the ID validation. So everything can be customized. Face recognition and receiving event notifications for just having this kind of pop-up messages for understanding what's going on during the session, okay? So now, how do I want to invite my students? Do I want to invite them by a link or by inviting them by a group of people, okay, or one by one if I have already this list, okay? I can also import a file where I have already my group of students, right? But in this case, I'm gonna invite them with a link. I will be copying the link and no login will be necessary because I will just have to invite them just as a guest, okay? In case that, as Danny was mentioning, in case that you want to add more security to the session, you can add a passcode to the session. Not in this time, okay? In terms of the students, depending on how many students you wanna invigilate live speaking, right? You can add some other invigilators to the session, and then you can see how this number is improving, right? So we are just in the movement to just moving to up to 50. However, we don't suggest to have this option because invigilating 16 people, for instance, is way too uh, stressful. So imagine that you have to multiply this number by 2 because you will be seeing what's on the webcam and what's on the desktop. Okay, so if I click finish, my session is already done. It's a draft. Okay, so let's go back to the dashboard, and I have here my session for today. Okay, so this is open session. So I'm gonna show you now how easy it is for a host doing or invigilating the session. Okay, so I will go to supervising the session. Now this is me in my room. Okay, I will be just enabling all the audio and camera, clicking next, okay, and I'm gonna be in my session, okay. So I will be waiting for my students. So Danny, in case that you want to just go there, you can just also share the screen, and then you can guys just change to my screen so that you can see how I can interact as a host with my students, okay.
Yeah, this is really amazing. So we'll just have the backstage once Danny is able to see on her view of the screen, so that we can see it from Danny's point of view as the student. Uh, so Danny, if you're, I think in although here in Streamyard, I think we can only share one at a time.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
no worries. I mean, I will be waiting for her here, and once she's entering, you can just change to my screen. No worries.
Okay,
okay,
so this is what the experience the learner will have from my side. So once I click on the link, that can be in my email, that can be shared on my course or whatever, I will just see this view. And I will enter my name. I will join. I will be asked the same experience. You cannot see my video, yeah, because you're going to see my host. This is my host. So I read my guidelines, which is the first instructions that I need to do or know. And then here you can customize for your honor code or the instructions that you want them to have. If you want to give them any kind of experience that the instructions that they will have to do in that specific exam, you can put it there. When I click next, I am sent to do the same thing to customize my camera and my audio. This is the instruction of how I should be sharing my screen, which is selecting entire screen. And now when I go to the actual tab, when I have to share my screen, which I'm already doing, I will do this. And here in the session.
yeah, this is amazing. So Daniela, my question would be, you are running exams for Zoom in a tab in Chrome, but you're also running Zoom, the application, at the same time?
No, just
No,
the web app.
just the web app, just the web. So you only need a web browser, Chrome, to run this whole session.
Yeah.
Nice.
Now we
That's
can
really cool.
see the view from Juanma's perspective.
Okay.
I believe that you are seeing now my screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you can see me here in the left upper corner, right? And I can see my student, that is Danny. Okay, so in case that I want to chat with everyone, hi, Danny, or the only chat that we have together because there are no more students in here. So the cool thing in here is that all the different views that I can have from her now, okay? I can see the participant, I can see her exam. So you can just go to any other screen, okay? And the coolest thing is that I can have both. So I can see her screen and I can see her webcam, okay? If I want to minimize and just pay more attention on her instead of the screen, I can just do that. What I was mentioning before, right? I can just take, I can start the session, okay? And everything it will be recorded, okay. So all the events in here, okay, that you can see really happening. So this all the list of the event that happened during that session because she was changing tab. So everything that she's changing a tab, there will be a message here that she's changing a tab, okay. If you wanted to be looking somewhere else or just to be absent for just 5 seconds, Daniela, so that she's disappearing. So for me, it could be that something is really suspicious happening because he's not on the screen. So it will be kind of a message saying that participant is absent, as you can see just here on the bottom. Okay, so all these different events, regardless if it's a live session or an attended session, they will be triggering here. All right. And I will see afterwards how it's going to be my my student behaving just by checking in the timeline that she was showing how she's behaving and how is everything happening in that screen. All right.
Yeah, that's really amazing, Juanma. And so what's happening here, as I'm observing while you're doing this now, is again, you only needed your Chrome browser, and what you can see is all the activities that Danny is doing in her browser, right? While if you're having her take an exam or do some interactive session, or if she's opening new tabs, you can see it all from here.
Exactly. And the good thing is that everything that she's doing on her end is going to be recorded for a smoother and easier review. Okay. Regardless the way that we are just customizing the type of exams, if it's a recording session, you need an ID validation, if you are disabling the audio because you only need the camera, etc., we are very flexible. So wherever she's doing, it will be on my side. How do I want to provide to set up this session? Because again, two exams are not made equal, and there might be professors that they want to run different type of exams.
Right. So when they're running exams from Zoom, do they have, it's all web browser based? Do they have to sign in to their Zoom account, or they sign into the exams for Zoom account? No need for that.
No need, unless you want to do that. Okay. I mean,
Mm,
we have all the different ways of deployment as easiest as you want.
fantastic. That sounds great. We have some questions in the chat, so I'll just go straight to some of the questions here so that our audience can also continue to ask. One question we had from the chat is there a minimum or maximum number of participants for the session, for the
Yeah,
Zoom exams?
the minimum will be one. The
Mm,
maximum with a host, like now with Juanma, will be up to 50.
up
And
to
if it's
50.
unattended, yeah. And if it's unattended, if it doesn't have a live host, like Juanma now, and it's run by AI, then it's an unlimited amount of learners.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, can you describe a little more of an unattended scenario where the AI is the only one checking? So, does that mean that it's like a general exam for more than 50 students, and then the AI is just monitoring as they take the exam online? Is it something like that?
Yeah. So you will have the same view that we have now, just instead of Juanma's video, we will have this the exams for Zoom logo. And
Mm,
on the chat, if you have any questions, you can um, chat with the chatbot. We'll have the main FAQs and issues that troubleshooting that you will encounter. And if you do need extra help, then you were sent, or that issue is scaled to a host that might be paying attention to what's happening with the examinations during that moment in time, that has more
mm.
aerial view for all the students.
Yeah, that's really cool because if you program your exam ahead of time, you can have a chat bot that's just chatting directly for any basic questions, and then it escalates, or it sends it to the live proctor in case they need to respond
Yeah.
to the students. So you guys really thought of a lot of scenarios. That's really really cool. Another question we have from the chat is, how can we ensure that the students are able to complete the assessment given the concerns in internet connectivity? I guess for this question, I just want to bring in Jake, because since we're transitioning pretty quickly to the question answer portion, Jake, can I invite you to come back here on the stage so that you can kind of also describe, what the common issues, I guess, in other countries, right? Because I know, Daniela, if you're in Mexico, and then you mentioned that in Colombia you have some examples, and Juanma, of course, in Madrid or Catalonia, you have some examples. Do you have the same problems in Philippines? Jay, can you please share some of the common issues we have in Southeast Asia?
Yeah, absolutely right. I think the biggest concern that teachers really have when it comes to online assessments is if the students are taking it independently and honestly, right?
Mm,
Meaning that there are measures, being practiced by the teacher to ensure that when students take the tests, there are no other tabs or resources that are open for them to check and be able to use them to answer, or even sometimes, especially for lower grade levels, if there's Roy, a parent or a nanny coaching the student behind, right? From behind. So if exams for Zoom will provide us with ways to prevent these from happening, that would be great. Maybe we can get your thoughts on this, Juan and Danny.
Well, yeah. So what we do is that we flagged all of those kind of suspicious events, like changing a tab, copy paste. If it's evident that I can be with my face onto the screen, but I can have something here which I'm reading, and it's text that. If someone comes to the screen, or someone is like whispering to me the solutions to the questions in front of me, you will know. Of course, I haven't finished looking at the webinar from last Wednesday, I think it was, but there will be a way around to cheat. It's always been existing, but we want to make sure that you have enough information to minimize this as much as we can.
Yeah, thanks for that, Danny. It's really something of a scenario. I guess the other thing is, of course, internet connectivity. There's some, schools, and not just in Southeast Asia, but maybe you've experienced it in Latin American countries or in South America. Um, if what happens if the internet connection is not really that strong? What do you recommend for institutions that need would be interested to use this? What's the minimum requirement for internet speed, if you have any idea?
I don't have the specific number now. We can give that number in later on. But what we would recommend is, if there's a struggle, having 2 feeds of video, having my video plus the video from the host might be a little bit inefficient. So I would recommend an unattended kind of exam where it's just the AI and me. If the connection drops and I'm out of the session, I will be able to jump back. Give a little bit more flexibility on time, because if the connection is slow, maybe just blocking 60 minutes for a really complex test might be incapacitating for the learner. And sometimes there will be exams where it would be easier to just make sure that the person that is completing the test has a specific caps on other things, maybe has made sure that everything else that can take a little bit of internet is off, and you can just focus on your test. If it's flexible and you can just do it, you can just reconnect, then it means that you can also choose when everyone else in your house is not using the internet, and you can maybe connect with a little bit more of width. So those are solutions that I would propose using this tool.
Yeah, right. And I guess I assume if they're able to see social media video feeds, let's say if they're on their phone and they can see their TikTok stream or their Facebook stream, Instagram Reels, then they should be able to use this. That should be enough bandwidth, I think, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Another question from the chat. Is it possible to have this kind of assessment for the entire class, taking the assessment all at the same time? For example, 50 students or more, right? So is it really possible? Wanma, I think you had an interesting comment about this situation.
It is possible, it is doable thanks to our software. However, it's going to be very tricky and stressful. So, because you are not only controlling 50 students, you are controlling 100 screens, because you need to multiply the webcam
Oh.
and the desktop. So, it's going to be very, very stressful. What we recommend is just to have some help as a teacher assistant or some other professor, right? To just to get some assistance, because otherwise, even though the artificial intelligence is going to be controlling all the different events, right? You won't be able to just control 100 screens simultaneously. So We can do that, no question about that. However, we do recommend to have more people helping you.
Hmm.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And I guess
Yeah. One,
also
if I may ask.
maybe, yeah, go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, I got one, if I may ask. Like for higher, let's say higher education institutions where you always usually have a large number of students in class, what best case practices have you encountered so far in using this for classes with large numbers of students?
We do recommend to go to an attended session, like
Okay.
Daniela was mentioning before.
Okay.
And we are also developing a kind of dashboard that is an upper
Mm.
layer on top of the unattended session, where the host is not inside the session. However, he or she can control wherever is happening. She or he can see where the students are in terms of the exam, in terms of the instruction, etc. And in case that something is very suspicious, somebody just
Mm.
uh, having a lot of different flags and events, right? Or in case that the student is raising the hand, he or she just can log in, go there, interact with this one-to-one, and then log out. So with this, in case that you are having 100 students, 200 students, or even 1,000 of students, right? You can just have this kind of option that we are developing, and they will be ready beginning of next year.
Hmm. Thank you, Juan.
Yeah, I think it's also a good idea maybe to, if it's possible to make the group smaller if you want it all
Hmm.
on this system, right? So maybe 30-minute sessions for like 10 students at a time, 20. So making smaller groups or pods might be easier, so that if you really want to do pure online monitoring.
And not just easier, it's also a better quality of examination if you
Mm,
can just focus your attention on those learners which are in a small group.
right. There's also another question here from the YouTube chat. They're saying, what if the students are mobile only? Is it possible to monitor the students, or does it require laptop or desktop?
At this moment, it's not possible to do it on mobile. We're working on it. It's on our roadmap. So far, we have desktop and tablets as well.
Okay, cool. I wanted to ask a question, Danny, from your slides, right? Because maybe not everyone in Southeast Asia, maybe the Indonesians know better than the Filipinos, right? So football, the VAR, what does VAR stand for? Because you had that picture. I don't know if you can share your slide. Yeah, that picture of that referee looking
Yeah,
into a screen,
give me a
right?
second.
Yeah, yeah.
The VAR is virtual assistant referee.
Oh,
This
it means
is
virtual assistant referee.
yeah.
Ah, okay, because the World Cup is happening now. So very interesting. Oh, look, España, Viva España, Juanma, right? Really cool. You're Barcelona, I presume. Are
No, no, no,
Barcelona
no,
fan?
no, no, no.
No, no,
Real Madrid,
no.
Real Madrid in here.
Real Madrid. Okay,
Anyway,
okay.
we
I
are
know.
just supporting Spain in 3 hours from now because we are playing against them. Okay, so fingers
Okay.
crossed.
Fingers crossed. Good luck to Spain at the World Cup today. Yeah. So VAR, you mean, Danny, is a virtual
Assistant referee.
assisted referee. So in
Yeah.
this case, exams for Zoom is like that. You're like the referee, but this time you're virtual proctor, right? You're proctoring the assessment. Oh yeah. So here, Danny, you're sharing your screen. This one, okay. So it's like you have a virtual assisted referee, but for our purposes in education, it's like you're the virtual proctor, like
Yeah.
you from using a exams for Zoom. Okay. One more question here. Does this type of work or type of assessment work for asynchronous type of exams?
Yeah,
So
definitely. The unattended are usually asynchronous.
yeah, so that's the unattended. So what they mean by unattended is it's not, there's no live person monitoring the assessment on video. So you can use this tool for asynchronous exams, no problem. One more question here. What is the advantage or disadvantage of online assessments in general? I like this question because this is the whole theme for Academasia this month, regarding assessments online versus face to face, right? I mean, in your experience, Juanma and then Danny, what are the advantages or disadvantages of online assessment versus real world face to face?
I think the main advantage is that you can have a wider scale of and choose different ways of assessing people. I think the main disadvantage, and coming from a region like Mexico and Latin America, is that not everyone has the same the same opportunities and the same access to the same infrastructure. Maybe not everyone has a private room to focus. Maybe not everyone has the best internet connection, and they rely on the institution or school infrastructure. So I think that will be one of the biggest disadvantages. However, now we're moving into more remote collaboration and professional work. Being capable of being compliant and being accountable of working and performing online is actually a good technical digital skill to have in the future. Of course, we lose a lot in the classroom when we don't have the peer-to-peer interaction in person, but we have to also be open to have those interactions in the digital space. That would be my response.
I would also add as an advantage, right, that now that we are kind of uh, more busy, right, we don't have the time or the means just to go somewhere to learn wherever I want to learn. Okay, so it means that in case that you have 2 hours free of time in the afternoon or in the evening or during the night, you can just take these courses, take these exams, etc. Right, and also as another advantage, right, in terms of environment, we are just leading a project with one university here in Spain. How is going to be our CO2 footprint in case that we are just taking the classes face to face, exams, etc. If we are commuting, taking our mob, our car, going walking, and versus taking all these classes and exams at home, right? So all that we are doing is just leaving a footprint mark, okay, a CO2 mark, right? So we are just gathering all this data, and at the end of the academic year, we will understand how much by taking examples of people just commuting, taking their car, etc. So in terms of environment, I do believe that it's also an advantage just taking exams online.
Yeah, that's interesting. And in fact, even as the unattended format, like you can have, let's say, a course exam, and then as the students come in and you want them to take the exam live, you can have actually that video session. The AI can detect, right? If it's a real person taking the exam, if they have to show their identification to say that it's them, and then it makes the exam taking much faster. Indeed. Jake, do you have any other comments or questions? We're almost out of time, just in time. Maybe we can have some final questions or final thoughts.
There is a final question here. It says if the proctor will get notified if the
And
student
it's
will
very
attempt
important.
to open another browser when it's
Mm.
asynchronous. And yeah, definitely it will be notified. And it will
Yes,
be notified, and it will be on record.
yeah. You saw Juanma was showing the different statuses and events during the video session. They will see if the student opened the new browser window. All right. Okay. So that's all the time we have for. Unfortunately, I'm sure it's very interesting, really cool tool. Jake, do you have any final thoughts or messages before we do our housekeeping and reminders for our audience today?
Yeah, Roy, tonight, thanks to Danny and Juan, who shared with us exams for Zoom, we learned a lot about what the system has to offer. We found out that it's the friendliest way of delivering assessments, and that using a simple, familiar interface, there are really many options for teachers and proctors to deliver online assessments. We found out outstanding features like each participant gets 2 opportunities for their videos to be recorded, which of course allows maximum flexibility. We also learned about how trust components are in place to ensure that academic integrity is consistently observed, meaning there's a whole process of vetting and ensuring that the test takers are actual individuals or actual students even before they take the test. We also found out that the system allows allows for continuous and practical assessments, meaning using the system will enable educators to use a system that's repeatable, that's sustainable, something that is also easy for students to navigate, and so that kind of system will allow all assessments administered online, to be carried out efficiently and sustainably, not just for one time, but for many assessments or tests to be administered. And we also appreciated how Danny and Juan Roy shared the numerous innovative use cases implemented by institutions all over the world, such as tutoring, using the system for further education courses, group presentations, using with other integrations like AutoCAD. And I also like the idea of sentiment analysis employed by a university to test student behavior in mock interviews to increase employability. And of course, when Danny and Juan also talked about the flexible deployment, and how the whole familiarity of the environment makes giving exams very easy for teachers. These are things that will really help the work of teachers, and will help us not just administer better assessment, but write or really come up with assessments that will really accurately measure learning goals and objectives. So
Thanks,
that's I
Jake.
think a lot that we learned from tonight, and definitely will really want to explore how to use exams for Zoom.
Right. There's that's really comprehensive. Thanks a lot, Jake. Danny, or Wanma, any final thoughts? And there's a another question here. Is there a free trial for exams for Zoom? Do you have free trial?
Well, actually,
You're muted, Juanma.
Wanma, you're muted.
they have a Zoom Pro account. They can just test for free exams for Zoom. We are working on it. We are in the final stages with Zoom. So we are deploying this very, very, very short. But in case that they are interested in getting to know more exams for Zoom, they don't need a Zoom Pro account, right? So they can just contact us, and we will be very happy just to share how to use exams for Zoom.
Fantastic. Danny, any final thoughts?
Um, I will invite everyone to join into this future of assessment, the future of education. It's really exciting. Of course, we've had some struggles, but I really believe that moving forward in finding more innovative ways is the way to go. And the exams were committed with that vision.
All right, that's excellent. Muchas gracias, Danny and Juanma. That was fantastic. I'll just have a few housekeeping reminders if you can stay behind a little bit. So don't forget, everybody, there's an accompanying course on Academasia with our webinar today, Technology Tuesdays. Make sure, especially if you're from the Philippines, this course is included with CPD points. Okay, so you can use that for your PRC teacher's license renewal. If you have not made an Academasia account yet, make sure you sign in. Or if you're creating an account for a first time, make sure that you select the teacher account. Okay, so even if you're a pre-service teacher or already taking your master's, please select the teacher account so you can access all the features of Academasia. Once you log in, you'll see several areas and services that you can use. Collab Ed for social networking, connecting with our friends from all over the world. Design Ed for constructing your courses very easily. And of course, on Skill Ed, if you come here, we have already our course here, Exams for Zoom. So make sure you enroll in this course. And once you complete all the assessments, make sure that you don't forget, if you're applying for CPD units in the Philippines, at the very last lesson, make sure that you complete the CPD attendance form for teachers in the Philippines. Okay, so you complete this by December 12th. Make sure that you watch this webinar, complete all the assessments so that you can earn your certificate. It will be sent to you via email. It's a blockchain secured certificate, and you can use this for your CPD points. Okay, so don't forget to enroll here and accomplish by December 12th. And of course, don't forget also to join our event next week for Academasia Teacher Spaces on Thursday. So our Thursday Teacher Spaces will show you ways of designing an assessment for online environments. Okay, so we'll post the link in the chat and we'll send you by email as well. Make sure that you register for this event. We'll probably hopefully invite exams for students then if they can make it, so that they can show us actually how they actually incorporate this into an actual live lesson. If not, we'll show you something else for this online assessment environment. But we're very happy to have them back again with us next week. So on behalf of, again, Academasia and Exams Resume, thank you so much, everybody. Fantastic session, and see you again next week. Adios, paalam. Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you.
See you.
Gracias.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Muchas gracias.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Academasia. Academasia is a Singapore-based impact-driven edtech startup that empowers the largest online community of education institutions and educators in Asia to upskill and reskill themselves to improve the learning outcomes for their 21st century learners. On acadasia.com, educators can access 4 specific services. First, Collab Ed, a social networking service that empowers education institutions to build their international network from all over Asia, and where individual educators can join a wide range of communities of teaching learning practice and engage in peer-to-peer learning. Second, Skill Ed, a professional development service that empowers educators to upskill and reskill themselves by accessing more than 1,000 hours of professional development content, all with formal CPD accreditations. In addition to this, academic managers from education institutions can track, measure, and improve the efficacy of all professional development that their faculty access on the platform, thus leading to better learning outcomes for their students. Third, Design Ed, the easiest course builder on the planet. In 5 simple steps, this service empowers educators to build fun, engaging, and quality content for their learners. Furthermore, third-party tools like Canva, Google, etc. are fully integrated right into Design Ed. Fourth, Certify Ed, a digital credentialing service that empowers education institutions to design, award, and track fully verifiable and tamper-proof digital micro-credentials and certificates on the blockchain. Join the largest community of educators in Asia who are already using the platform and sign up for your free lifetime membership at www.acadasia.com today.